Hello, everyone. Hope you've had a great week and you guys are looking forward to the weekend. Especially if you guys are here in Canada or the US, then yeah, enjoy the last 6 weeks of summer before winter will set in and we'll be just stuck in our snow clad flatscapes or mountains wherever you might be. And then the only redemption will be that your holiday season rolls up and we can have some celebrations, but yeah, forget it, the weather will be shitty no matter where you are all across the continent. Um, and i and trust me, regardless of where you are, you'll be facing some nonsense starting October, right? Like, even if you're in Vancouver or the Pacific Northwest, like the most, or you're in the LA area and everywhere, you will still have some weather nonsense coming up. Anyways, guys, today JD and I are taking a bit of a different approach. We are gonna try and do a deep dive into just one topic, and that topic is, you've probably seen a sleuth of content on this already, but this is Mark Zuckerberg's, you could call it the AI manifesto or the meta manifesto on AI, and it's titled "The Future is for Everyone." Very long document, very, it covers a lot of points, I feel, but it also in some places feel, one, very boilerplate, two, also very uh, too optimistic for the environment we live in. And I'm not thinking about a particular person, a particular administration, or anything. We are not in an environment where a lot of this, at least I don't think, is even feasible. Not just because of the politics, it's because of the laws and the systems that are in place that typically govern technology. So we'll get into all of these little by little. But JD, let's get your opening thoughts.
Yeah, I'm excited for this new format that we're doing. This is a big manifesto, 6,500 words by Mark Zuckerberg, and it has a very interesting uh, web page link also. It's like meta slash something. So that's very rare. So he really wants it so everybody can read it. And the title is basically, he's saying, Meta Zuckerberg says AI won't steal your jobs. He's claiming that the tech executives are gatekeeping and controlling AI, and that is the real threat. So it's like mounting a direct attack on the AI doomer narrative that is championed by OpenAI and Anthropic lately. So those are my opening thoughts, Abhijit. Yeah, let's start.
All right, guys. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
I was just thinking. Okay, let me quickly do this, and I can show this as we go. Okay, let's go to the next one. So the first important segment that I found was, when I was reading, was humanity has witnessed many transformative advances. I don't think there's anything wrong with that statement. Each time there is fear that people will be left behind, true. But each time humanity has come out with more people sharing greater prosperity, health, and freedom, this is where I do have a slight divergence of opinion. And then it kind of goes on to say, okay, we believe this will be true with AI and blah, blah, blah. But let's look at the two articles, or not two articles, but the left one is an article, the right one is actually a paper. So Gen Z scores lower on standardized tests than millennials, despite more tech. The smarter they think they are, the dumber they actually are. This is just a quote by, I guess, the author or maybe someone they interviewed in the story. And on the right, you have the effect of short form video addiction on undergraduates' academic procrastination, a moderated mediation model. And then, if you read this abstract, at least this section of the background, they have clearly stated, however, the intense interest in short form videos has given rise to short video addiction, which poses risks to both physical and mental health of individuals. Now, these guys are scientists. They're not going to make very broad, sweeping statements. They'll always get into the study and all the good stuff. But they are pretty clearly saying this is an addiction and this is impacting, or it does pose risk to physical and mental health. And then it goes on to state what the study is for. Now, one of the products Meta owns is an app called Instagram. Now, Instagram, at least to my knowledge, was not the first one in this space. To my knowledge, the first app, the first piece of technology to popularize short form content was actually TikTok. So I'm not going to say that Meta started it, definitely not. But at least when it comes to North America, Meta has played a role in this. You know, if you had to take this at face value, right, that the standardized test scores are an indication of employability, or getting a college level education, how well they can tackle college level content, etc., then Instagram has definitely played a role. It is the go to short form content app for us North Americans. I'm on Instagram myself. So uh, I have no idea if it has deteriorated my brain or not, but I'm also a millennial. So just kind of made it across on the other side, where I was already above the formative age when all this became a big thing. And here we have a research, and by the way, this is an American research paper, this is not from anywhere else. So uh, this is what ties back into what my divergence with Mark is on this statement. JD, go ahead.
Yeah, um, I do agree that TikTok started this trend of, you know, these very addictive shorts. Um, but I don't think uh, the short form video was invented by TikTok. I believe I remember like actually Twitter started having like really short form videos long time ago. It was called Vine, and they were literally like just 3 4 seconds, but they didn't do anything from it. And then Snapchat came along, and they were really popular with like disappearing videos and things like that. And then TikTok came along, and uh, they figured out the secret sauce, which is the algorithm to keep users hooked. So just based on when you swipe, what you swipe on, and how long do you see something, even if you're not signed in, they can pretty much predict what you like to watch and what you don't like to watch. So that was their innovation. But I think Meta has this habit. I think this is in their DNA to buy up like fast growing apps and then making them even bigger and like making them into something that wasn't what they started with. So Instagram was just a photo sharing app. WhatsApp was just end to end encrypted messaging app. And now if you look at them, they're not what they started as. It's just a amalgamation, a mishmash of whatever's the latest and the greatest in social media. Now, I mean, I don't doubt Meta strategy. They have been really, really good at it. But again, even though this essay might seem like, oh, Meta is trying to do something nice out of good of their heart to the world, we all know that's not true. This letter is penned for Meta employees, investors, and the greater tech community in general, just as a warning shot by Zuckerberg. I mean, because people might not see it right now, but Meta is facing an existential threat to their business model. Yes, their ad business is doing better than ever and they're earning tons of money. I think they earn more in ads than Google right now. But it's reliant on its audience, which is people looking at these ads, right? So if the people start to disappear, if people start to talk to AI agents instead of each other on the app, then yeah, if people are not interacting, then the advertisers might not want to advertise in Meta properties, right? And then that would mean less money for Meta, which is, again, an existential threat. They want users on their applications as much as possible. But Chat GPT, Gemini, and Claude are eating into this screen time from Meta. Because if you think about it, like, I don't know about you, Abhi, but Chat GPT and Claude is kind of addicting. It if you start work on it, at least for me, like I can't stop using them. Like it's just everything on the fingertips, the knowledge, the tools. It's really good. So I think that's what Zuck and Meta is afraid of. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this.
I mean, I like Grok's unhinged mode. I enjoy like talking to it sometimes. It's fun. The day ChatGPT started showing ads, I was like, oh god, I'm done with this. I don't care how good Soul is. I don't care what the previous one is called. You're showing me ads. Bye. I have it. Sometimes I'll use it. I'll ask it a question or so. Um, but I kind of have my models like pretty much sorted out. Document summaries, programming. Okay, Claude. Um, Generic, I mean, I guess programming, thumbnail, image generation, and everything, Gemini. I personally find Gemini to be the best jack of all trades pony. Um, but yeah, so I think if people start taking agency over their attention, then Meta's business model is in danger. I'm not sure. I have no reason to believe that there is a trend either happening towards or away from this. But to JD's point, when everyone decides to start becoming more conscious about the choices they make, uh, a company that's founded on grabbing as much attention as possible will definitely find it more and more difficult to maintain relevance. And and that doesn't just go for Meta, right? That doesn't just go for Instagram. It goes for all the TikToks, the Snapchats, everyone who's centered on an app that takes away agency to choose what to watch next is in danger. So yeah, guys, let's get to the next bit here. Now, I just wanted to highlight this one because this will come back full circle a bit in our story anyway. Now, we believe delivering super intelligence to everyone is the way to answer this question. Um, Rather than centralizing super intelligence, we should distribute it widely and give every person the ability to direct it. This has the potential to begin a new era of personal empowerment where individuals can use this powerful new capability to reach their full potential, pursue their interests, and improve their lives and the world more than ever before. So, this comes across as a statement saying, oh, we support open source. To Meta's credit, some of their open source stuff in the world of development, mainly like libraries like React Native, um, those are pretty groundbreaking. Like if you really want to make a really good responsive app, I personally use React. I personally use React Native. So and all of that is open source MIT 2.0 license. I think I don't even think they use the Apache. So Meta has contributed. So has Google. So has Microsoft. But My The thing is, you give, then this is always a thought experiment I try to do, right? Imagine you have the whole world is just filled with five people. You each give them $100. Neither is richer or poorer than the other one. So it's as good as each of them having only $0. So you give everyone the same level of super intelligence, let's say. It does not make any particular person better off than the other one. Now, the irony of the capitalist model is the whole incentive to continuing to innovate is to be better than others. It's called competition. So, whenever I read statements like this, this is just going back to my previous point that they feel a little boilerplate and they almost feel lip service because Mark Zuckerberg has been running Facebook, Meta, since what, late 90s or maybe early 2000s. About 25 to 30 years in business, right? And okay, he might be a programming nerd when he started off, but he knows enough about business to say that this is, you give everyone the same stuff, no one is better off or worse off. I mean, okay, I'll just ask a question here, right? Then why don't you just reveal how you have written your own AI model, right? I know Llama is open weight, so I can't really, or whatever the new one is called, it's open weights. So I think they are doing some work in that direction. But try maybe then to take it to the next level like Red Hat does. They have an operating system called Fedora Linux where everyone can just download it for free and use it, and then they have a paid version called Enterprise Linux, which you don't really need if you're not running an enterprise. So why don't you pivot Meta to charging WhatsApp enterprise or Instagram enterprise users, which I think they already do, um, and follow the exact same strategy with AI. So I mean, I just found this. I don't know what to make of it. I just found it very like normal. It's I'm pretty sure you give everyone a free version of your product, which is not going to be as good as the cutting edge product. Whereas true open source companies, like again, I'll take the example of Red Hat, all their cutting edge stuff is just shoved into Fedora. Now it tends to be more in a way unstable than a Ubuntu or a Mint Linux or something. But hey, everything is there. Use it as you wish, or like an Arch Linux. So, but Meta is a for-profit company, and I expect them to ration out their technology in a way that they can make money off of it. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, yeah, JD, what do you think?
Yeah, you're right. Like this part kind of feels like fluff because Meta is a capitalistic company in a capitalistic country, right? So all this fluff about humanity and all that, it looks good on paper. Some people like it, but let's be honest. Meta is releasing its model. So the latest one is called Muse, and they have different tiers like Muse Spark, Muse Glimmer. It's like, Opus and Sonnet, something like that. They have released the model, but it's not like it's out of kindness from their heart. Um, I think what they're doing is deploying the same strategy as the Chinese models. So it's more like a counterweight to all the frontier models. So ChatGPT and Claude are kind of ahead, not only in terms of intelligence, but also the uh, wallet share, right? A lot of people paying $50, $100, $200 a month for these models, right? So I think The bigger picture we should see is, and I've said this in the previous episode, is there is something called regulatory capture that is going on in the AI space right now in the US. So, this means that the top two frontier labs have the most market share of this new business model, and they are indirectly asking the government to shut down the door for any other competitors to release their models for free, or make it easy for other companies to release the models. So Zuck's argument that the single greatest threat facing humanity isn't rogue AI, but rather the extreme concentration of AI power inside a few corporate or government gatekeepers. This is indirectly referring to the open AIs and the clouds of the world, right? And personally, I feel this is like a small window of opportunity for startups to create something new and creative. And then, the government red tape is going to come down, I don't know, in 6 months or a year or something. And this innovation will kind of stop. I feel like any case, if you see the new AI models that are coming out, they're not like 10 times as better or 5 times as better, right? They're at most maybe 5% or 10% better. So I think we are hitting that point in this AI innovation. We are hitting some kind of a wall. And because of this, there are a lot of talks going on in the US government. Uh, some people want to create like a SEC version of um, a regulatory body that controls release of AI models. So SEC, for people who don't know, they look after all the financial aspects of the US financial system. So they are responsible for the regulations and things like that. And if you run afoul from them, then you could be sued, you could be jailed, you could be fined, and that happens regularly. Then there's another camp who are looking for more of a FDA kind of a regime. So FDA, for people who don't know, are in charge of anything to do with releasing drugs or releasing medical devices in the US. It's a long, painful process. If you're a startup, you know, it's full of red tape. It's the main reason why it's so expensive and time consuming to introduce any new drug or medical device product in the US. So these are the two options floating around right now. I am much more comfortable with the SEC version than a FDA version, but I feel like uh, everybody is trying to do a SEC version, which is the better one in my opinion, except OpenAI and Anthropic. They're really pushing for the FDA version, which is like a big government body that will be in charge of everything AI and releasing models, and there's going to be a break in the middle and things like that. So I feel like this, coming back to this, like this is like a counterweight for Zuck and Meta, because they are a huge company and they have a say in this. And I think this is their way of saying, like, hey, we need a counterweight for these big guys, and we don't want to centralize super intelligence, and this is how we are doing it. So yeah.
Right, guys, let's go to the next section. So, here are some points, or I think basically in the manifesto. These are basically, let's say, these are the few specific ways Meta is building personal super intelligence to improve all our lives. These are those specific points. Everyone will have an exceptionally capable personal agent that understands you, your goals, and everything you care about. Agent will work 24/7, sure. It will improve your relationships. I do not want AI telling me how to handle my relationships. Health, okay, on the fence. Career, I agree. Finances, probably not, because I'll be on a subscription for my 24/7 agent. Home management, probably, well, depends. You want to, yeah, if you want to start tinkering with all the electronics and plumbing of your house and you've never done that before, why not? Hobbies, definitely, and more, that's vague but fine. It will free up time for the things you enjoy and help you accomplish more than you could otherwise. Absolute bullshit. Because there are every, okay, we have internet, we have smartphones, we have all the best information technology at our disposal, um, and we work on average 50 hours a week. Technology makes a specific task easier, no doubt about that. Does it free up time? No. Freeing up time has got nothing to do with technology, because the time you save in doing that one task because of that technology now gets taken up by other nonsense. Usually, this results in an upward movement of activity. So, let's say long back there were no computers and there's a company that does projects. So, you will have your HR or accountant or some finance person going around and maybe asking every week, okay, what projects did you work on? So there was someone doing that for you. There was a dedicated department for it. Then came ERP systems. Now employees are saddled with putting their own timesheets. Same thing with doctors. They have to spend hours filling out patient reports because of technology, and the law, and then the whole administrative chain basically ended up becoming unemployed. And it basically increased the workload on doctors. And doctors should be spending time treating patients, not filling out Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, or whatever systems are used in the medical world. So, usually, more technology shifts the burden upward into spaces where people in those spaces should be doing their actual jobs rather than doing all these administrative tasks. Not that they're not important, but they're just hired for something else. To a point that in corporate, if you really had to account for all the extra bullshit that you have to do apart from your regular job, it'll take easily 2 to 3 hours a day. Since the pandemic, a lot of companies have implemented, desk booking software. That's another 5 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes of your time, depending on how responsive your system is. You not only have to book it, but you have to then maybe perform another step so that you check in so that no one else can come and override that booking or something along those lines. And then if your company is trying to put in return to office policies and a lot of people are trying to book desks on wherever the team sits, wherever you sit, and you want to be in the area of people you know or people you work with, then you have to also keep thinking ahead that, okay, I want to book this desk for this particular day, then I have to make sure I plan my day that way. So that doesn't make my life any easier. It in fact makes it shittier than just having an assigned desk. Now I'm never gonna advocate for 5 days RTO, but all I'm saying is the more technology you shove down people's throats, it'll make a particular task easier, and it'll usually just make you do other 2-3 tasks which you were not doing before. I have no reason to believe AI or superintelligence, AGI, whatever the latest acronym is, will do any of that better. Everyone will have incredible tools for creation to express your ideas. Fine, I can agree with that. We'll have powerful tools to create new businesses. um, I mean, if everyone has the same tools, then what tells you that your business is going to be more powerful or more successful than another one? I mean, you're kind of in a chicken and an egg problem. Everyone will have a personalized tutor and coach with a PhD in every subject. Yes, but that's also very scary because you're blindly believing what the model tells you, and the model itself has its own bias. So I would rather just go try and read a paper. Everyone would benefit from scientific advances and be able to contribute to scientific progress. Mixed thoughts, just because to contribute to scientific progress, you have to follow the scientific method to actually get to a result, which usually includes some sort of live experimentation, which an AI model will not be able to fulfill. Everyone will have free or affordable access to these tools. Uh, I think I've already mentioned what I think about that. So, JD, let's hear you.
Yeah, yeah. So I do agree with all the anti-doomerism aspects in this essay. So, I mean, what I mean by that is all this is like looking very nice, painting a very rosy picture of the future. But we all know, like, how remember when Meta came out and changed their name because virtual reality was the next big thing, and everybody's would be wearing virtual goggles and not meeting real people. What happened to that? You know, so what happened to NFTs? Uh, People collecting numbers on the internet. What happened to the crypto craze? So this is painting a very rosy picture, and as Abhi said, like, tech doesn't mean that it'll free up time for individuals, right? It'll just make us more productive. um I feel like sometimes AI is kind of trying to solve the problem that the tech created itself. So, as Abhi gave an example of doctors doing admin tasks, that wasn't an issue maybe 20 years ago. A doctor could just write a prescription and that's it. That was the deal. Now they have to, if you go to every hospital, every room has a full desktop setup where you sit down and the doctor takes down note on something and then recommends something from the computer, right? So now AI companies are saying, okay, we won't even need to do that because AI will solve it. I mean, it's almost like the tech company created the disease and now it's trying to sell the cure. So, me being in tech, I am seeing this real time. I believe in the old saying, that cars didn't make horses obsolete. Horses are still there. They're just doing something else, right? So we will be more productive. We'll just be doing some other things, but it's not going to free us time. Another thing I want to mention here is it mentioned that countering widespread fears that superintelligence will destroy the global labor market uh, is kind of false. Like what Zuck is saying here is there's a big defense against this global labor market displacement. It's the computing power. So, because the compute is a scarce resource with real opportunity costs, companies will naturally direct AI towards driving high value human intervention rather than brute force work automation. So, what this means is there will be a point where the new AI models will not do much better than the old ones. I mean, we are almost at that point. Uh, and you might not need the most expensive models for 90% of the things we do. It'll all get commoditized. It'll sell for cents on a dollar. Everybody will be more intelligent, And then, it's like giving money to everybody, it's worth nothing then. It's the new normal. So I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah, but Abhi, your thoughts?
I pretty much agree. I mean, yeah, you give everyone the same tool, you end up at the same point. It's circular. It's not linear in any way. Um, all right, guys, let's get to the next section. Oops, wrong area. Now, Meta is the company primarily focused on building personal superintelligence for everyone. Most other labs are focused on building AI for companies, governments, or other institutions. So, if those labs lead, then the balance of power will favor larger institutions over individuals. I don't know about, I mean, balance of power. So, if you're talking about having even power, then I mean, Meta recently just apologized to the government of India because after Prime Minister Narendra Modi's social media post was briefly restricted on Facebook and Instagram, and your brothers and sisters at Twitter, they also testified a couple of years ago in front of the Congress for all the activities that they were involved in before Musk bought it. Um, I'm, I'm still ambivalent on whether Musk buying Twitter was a good or a bad thing. I don't even use the platform much, but we all know about the hearings that happened, right? So again, balance of power talk uh, from a company in a country where mega companies largely or play a huge role in dictating policy. Uh, I don't know what to make of this because at some point it's like, okay, I just don't understand why there is so much quote unquote like why is there so much political correctness in this document? Like you can see through it. Most other labs are focused on building AI for companies, governments, or other institutions. So, if those labs lead, then the balance of power will favor larger institutions over individuals. So, if we were to focus on Meta, which is primarily focused on building personal super intelligence for everyone, are you going to stop tracking my Instagram likes and not feed it into your data models? Don't worry, I'm not uninstalling Instagram. I'm not even going around with a campaign saying let's boycott Facebook or Instagram. No, I buy shit off Marketplace. I use Insta. I have WhatsApp. And thank you for WhatsApp existing in this world because now I don't have to pay exorbitant prices to call my family in India. There are very beautiful things that Meta's products have done for the world, but really for everyone, the whole model of Meta is based on hooking people onto their apps, onto their products, so that they can then see ads. It's an ads company. Meta and Google are the biggest advertisers on the planet. So I just don't understand. If you want to release an open weight model, just do it. People will use it. And again, to JD's point, right? This is like, okay, we want to have oversight, or um, we want to have some sort of a control. Why was there no speak of control when ChatGPT came out in 2022? No, all of you guys raced to build your own ice cream flavor, and now that there is so much competition, you're trying to say no, no, let's regulate. Come on, man. JD, what do you think?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Like, we shouldn't be fooled by all the fluff. I mean, just Meta. It plans to spend over $145 billion just this year on AI infrastructure, including a billion future is for everyone fund, okay, to secure community buy-in for massive data center. Now, why would Meta spend $1 billion for a fund to secure community buy-in for a data center? It's not because they want to help the community, it's because they want to build their damn data center and they don't want protests. um, there are so many data centers being built by all these hyperscalers. uh, it's actually affecting their cash flow. Now companies like Amazon, Google, they are selling debt in order to finance all these data centers. They are willing to pay any amount to build these data centers because they can see like a lot of people are using Gemini, a lot of people are using chat GPT. So what do? You just throw money at the problem, at the infrastructure, and hope for the best. But the thing is, because of this, what is happening is it's getting expensive for anybody to buy electronics right now. Um, I built my own PC maybe like 3 years ago, and if I were to build my PC from the same components, it would be at least like three times more expensive. Like RAM prices are out the door. Uh, Memory is crazy expensive, like times, four times expensive. Hard drives are like double the price. All this is happening because these guys are buying all of the available capacity uh, to build these data centers. I heard somewhere like the one of the biggest chip companies, Micron, got out of their consumer business. They had a really good brand that sold memory chips. They're like, we don't need to be selling directly anymore. Like these buy guys are paying us triple, four times the amount. Why should we do all the marketing and distribution, right? And they said they sold out for next year as well. Imagine, like next year budget is already gone. So it's not all what I'm seeing here, like the tech prices for all the electronics is just going to go up next year also. And this is going to affect affordability. I feel that is a bigger crisis than what Mark Zuckerberg is saying here, you know. It's affecting inflation, it's affecting a lot of things. But yeah, coming back to the point over here, uh, the balance of power will favor larger institutions over individuals. That has been the norm since forever. You know, like some people, institution will go ahead, some individuals will be left behind. That's the dance of capitalism. I don't think there's any way to stop it. Even if you set up $1 billion fund, it's people are going to eat it up, but it's not going to change the actual problem. So it's just, throwing money at a solution that is not going to work. But I mean, that's the world we live in right now. So can't do much.
Yeah, I mean, when you want to build personal super intelligence for everyone, okay, I've been trying to build my own home lab. 600 CAD for a basic NAS system. Comes with 8 GB of RAM, one stick. So DDR5, forget it. You're trying to buy DDR5 RAM, you're, you're fucked, basically. You want to buy HDDs brand new, forget it. I had to get, thank you for Facebook Marketplace, I had to buy two HDDs, 4 TB each, I think for a total of 200 to 300 CAD, somewhere in there. I've already blown close to $1,000 for a basic NAS because all you big companies, Max 7 hyperscalers, are eating up memory all over the world, stifling everyone from doing anything innovative in your houses and then one of you decides to come out with such bullshit saying building personal super intelligence for everyone. Ah, let's go, guys. Next one. Next one. In a free society, people will have tools that can be used for good or harm, but law enforcement and military have more weapons and intelligence gathering. With AI, the defenders will also have more compute to generate significantly more intelligence from the same models, and in some cases, they'll have more advanced models as well. And then to maintain freedom, we must ensure that superintelligence primarily empowers individuals. The ideal in liberal democracy is that people naturally hold all rights and only agree to restrict some freedoms to protect the common good. Similarly, individuals should have access to personal superintelligence and should only be subject to restrictions when truly required. Now, as a company, Meta operates in a jurisdiction where the USA Patriot Act applies, and also the national emergency export control regulations. I don't have anything against these laws, but fundamentally this statement is contradictory to the jurisdiction or the lawscape that Meta operates under. By the definition of not just the Patriot Act or this export control, there are many other laws. These are just two examples that literally came into my head as I was reading this piece. So decided to put it here. Again, every country has a right to protect their IP, every country has a right to protect their borders, every country has a right to intelligence, um, as long as they don't get caught. But what I'm saying is, the defenders, so called, will never be allowed to have anything above and beyond the super intelligence models that are allowed in the public, unless they decide to go build their own, then they have the IP, right? By the way, I'm not trying to, this has got nothing to do with the US laws. This is just to point out that such statements sound really nice on paper. They are literally not actionable. When the US government felt that mythos and fable are a risk for cybersecurity, to US national security, whatever, they literally stopped everyone from using it for I think a period of 1 or 2 weeks. I'm not sure how long that one lasted. And the whole idea was, okay, we have to stop it for export control purposes. So the intention was clear that, okay, no one outside the US can technically use them. But then the way an export entity is defined is, okay, anyone, any contractor working for a foreign government entity, foreign company, blah, 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 everyone just gets roped into that one umbrella. And that's why every US user also ended up getting roped in. But the intention is that it shouldn't be used for export purposes. It's just the definition of export that ended up being applied, or that ended up including everyone using those models even in the US, and that's why it got banned in the US. Now sure, US owns the IP for Anthropic's models. US owns the IP for Meta's models. US owns the IP for Google, OpenAI. All of these are American companies. American laws apply to them. And to the extent that they offer their services in foreign countries, they have to comply with the laws of other jurisdictions. But first and foremost, they are answerable to the US government. And the way these statements read from the Future for Everyone document, they just don't align. So I'm not sure if this can be achieved or not. JD, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that intelligence or the government will get first dibs on the model going forward, especially after the Mythos debacle. And I think in defense in general is a very good case for AI. It produces a lot of data. It's used in drones, it's used in planning, it's used in weapons. So I think it is like a poster child really good use of AI in general. So it's not like anyone can stop it. We've seen like all the employees protests at Google and other big companies, who say like, oh, our software should not be used for killing other people in other countries. But there is no way to stop that, right? Like, you can't sue the US Army into not using something, right? Because for them, like, national security comes first. So you can't argue with that. And this is true for any country, not just US. Like, why would any country sit back and not use the latest models for their defense, right? It's like the same thing that happened with the nuclear weapons, right? Nuclear weapon is not an offensive weapon, right? It's a defensive weapon. It's a deterrence against other people, so they don't use the same thing. So I feel like AI is kind of like that also. I want to also highlight that Anthropic in general is doing this interesting thing in the government. It's lobbying to ban Chinese models. I think we've talked about this in a previous podcast, but basically they're saying US companies cannot use uh, Chinese models. They should only use US models. Now, that is just handicapping domestic companies, right? Because other countries, companies are not going to have the same restrictions. They're going to use the cheaper models, and it's going to backfire for the US company. So I think that's wrong also. But yeah, I digress. Let's continue, Abhi.
All right, guys, let's go on to the. I think, yeah. Now, this is where, again, I don't have a problem with an American company who has an American founder and a CEO coming and saying that we should ensure American leadership. Duh, kind of goes without saying. But then, and then, yeah, you guys can read all this on infrastructure, and then China is very scary and blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Don't come in and say over here, give every person the ability to direct it. You can say give every American the ability to direct it. Or maybe word it differently, saying give every American first chance to direct it and then everyone else gets whatever we decide to give, which is fine. I'm not saying it's wrong. You are an American company, you're going to do that. And that's, there are some certain other sections to the document, and it kind of goes on about, um, you know, you kind of move the next section. We don't have a screenshot for, but maintaining control of superintelligence. My question is, okay, whose control is the best? Do you want a body like the UN to do it? That would instill some confidence if it's a global body that decides where everything goes. But then how do you ensure American leadership at the same time? um, that becomes interesting, um, especially with multiple countries asserting themselves more and more as we move into, you know, the as the overall human development index of the world increases. There are a lot of mid-level players, heavyweight players asserting their points of views on the global table. So again, very difficult to achieve this. And again, in the realm of super intelligence, I don't think that that's even possible. There are some other items, I can just read those off for everyone. Maintaining control of super intelligence. At Meta, we will focus our efforts on delivering personal super intelligence to billions of people and small businesses. It's a noble thing, but again, if everyone has the same level of super intelligence, then you're still at the same level. Open source is a positive and important force for empowering people. I 100% agree with that. Just let me know what Meta can do to make my hard drive cost cheaper, so that I can build my home lab, so that I can actually build open source software. Um, in principle, I agree with the statement, but I also feel it comes with a little bit of, salt and pepper sprinkled on it. Independent governance and oversight is important, yes. Just like Boeing has been policing itself and making shittier and shittier aircraft, and now every country, before they buy a Boeing plane, they literally have to. Independent governance is always a bogey argument. Bullshit. I'm not even. I don't care. Government policy is necessary to ensure a positive future. Yes, I agree. Government policy is. And the issue with policy is that it always lags, and it lags heavily because all over the world, not just the American or the Canadian or the Indian government, all over the world, governments are just slow. I think the most efficient government I can think of is Singapore, um, but again, Singapore is also very small. It's just easy to manage a city state, compared to a behemoth like the United States or India or China or anything of that sort, right? So policy is necessary. Policy typically takes time to catch up. Uh, Look, I'll leave everyone with one last screenshot, which I'm decided to include, um, about how I feel super intelligence will, how super intelligence will be made available to billions and billions of people. So let me share this one, guys, and let me tie the story in a bit. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. This is internet penetration globally as of, this is going from April 2016 to April 2026. Now, 74% of the global population is estimated to be using the internet. Any delivery of super intelligence will necessarily rely on having a good internet connection. And we still have about a quarter of the world that is not able uh, to access the most basic building block of uh, super intelligence. So anyway, widespread adoption, widespread delivery is possible. Um, Northern Europe has the most comprehensive internet coverage. Sure, Western Europe ranks second. Um, all these are, I think, nitpicky numbers, but even there are definitely parts of Canada that don't have good internet coverage. There are definitely parts of the US. There are definitely many parts of India. And when we say internet penetration, it means that they can access the internet. It need not be at LTE or 5G, 6G speeds. Maybe they are getting 2G, 3G, 4G. And to that extent, if I guess Starlink is a very positive step in that direction to making internet available everywhere. Um, but I guess even there we are still missing something. So, or we are still missing a part of the population that has access to good or at least to internet. We don't know about good, bad, or ugly over here. So I think overall this document has some positives, and then some of it, as I said before, it feels a little boilerplate, and some of it outright feels like it's just there so that it sounds nice. I do think super intelligence or even AI in its current form is crucial to all the protein research that's going on, all the healthcare affordability that it could in theory bring about. Realistically, it probably not do that, but at least on the research front it can help achieve breakthroughs that were thought impossible earlier, and it can definitely accelerate timelines to reaching meaningful research, especially in the world of healthcare where it's chronically needed. So it's a good document, but it's also in a way saying that, um, to JD's earlier point, that AI in its current form is maybe plateauing a bit. Um, that policy should catch up as soon as possible. Um, and as far as super intelligence itself is concerned, if I go by what the document says, it looks like Meta will reach this in a few years, but it also hides a statement saying if we are able to reach there. So I think they do have some internal questions they're trying to address. So I don't think we are going to reach that in a few years. Um, so yeah, those are my thoughts. JD, bring it on.
Yeah, I think we can wrap up, but yeah, let us know, guys, if you like this format. We will continue to experiment with more formats in the future. For our Indian audience, happy Independence Day, and everybody, please have a great weekend. We will see you next week. Think you're muted, but okay.
स्वतंत्रता दिवस की सबको हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं to all Indians. And yeah, this is Wasted Wanderers signing off. See you guys next week. Enjoy the weekend.
See ya.